Engaging. This is BarCode, a cocktail-powered podcast that dives deep into the personalities, criminals, and heroes that have come to define security across the globe. Please join our host, Chris Glandon, for another wild foray into the incredible world of humans and how they intertwine with today's modern technology. We hope you enjoy today's episode.
Three, two, one.
Activate.
FIlipi Pires is the head of Identity, Threat Labs, and Global Product Advocate at Segura, Red Team Village Director, Senior Advisor at Ricey Cyber Academy, founder of the Red Team Community, an AWS community builder, Sneak Ambassador, and Application Security Specialist. He also is a passionate hacking is not a crime advocate and a global speaker who's hit the stage at some of the biggest security and tech conferences around the world, from Black Hat and DEF CON in the US to events across Canada, France, Spain, Germany, Poland, and the Middle East. Beyond the stage, Felipe has also served as a university professor for graduation and MBA courses in Brazil, and he's the creator and instructor behind hands-on courses like Malware Attack Types with Kill Chain Methodology, PowerShell and Windows for Red Teamers, and Malware Analysis Fundamentals. Felipe isn't just building skills, he's truly building a culture. Felipe, welcome to BarCode, my friend.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you so much for having me here. I'm so excited for this conversation, man.
Me too, man.
Nice.
We can continue the conversation. We started at HackSpaceCon a few weeks ago, which was my first HackSpaceCon, by the way. I really enjoyed it. What were your takeaways from that?
Yeah, was my first time as well. So I received the invitation last year, but I had a kind of conflict of another event at that time. So actually, the event was very nice. And because the Florida community, let's say, is so huge. And there are a bunch of people that I met virtually. And I had the opportunity to meet those people in person. It was super nice. And not only that, but, you know, we could saw like we can see many different talks, technical talks. We had the community space. It was super nice as well. So the opportunity to spread more about the cybersecurity, community, how it's important to to keep in touch, to make network, and to share knowledge. Man, it was very, very nice time and HackSpaceCon.
Yeah, I met a lot of folks there that I've met online, never met in person. So I think they had a really good representation there. And
you and me, by the way, we met virtually, but I never, we had opportunity to talk in person. But this is super nice.
Yeah, definitely, man. And I enjoyed your talk, by the way. That was very, very good. And I had no idea that you travel so much and you do a lot of talks. And in fact, we were just talking offline about your next speaking engagement, which is going to be in Chicago soon, correct?
Yeah, actually, I will travel in the next few days, and I go to B-Side 312. I will do the similar talk about the cloud and how the attacker can explore misconfigurations. And after that, I go to Vegas for the business event. Let's say the Identity Versus. The event is focus on an identity. It's a big event, the main event on the US, focus on identity. And then after that, I go to Brazil for the, let's say, the partner events, the international partner events that we have in Brazil. And by the way, the company that I work is a Brazilian company. And then after that, I go to B-Sides Boulder in Colorado. And that's my life, traveling
nonstop. Nonstop.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to get down to Brazil in December to do the conference down there for Red Team Village. So.
Yeah, exactly. In December in Brazil, we have the main hacker event. Let's say the name of the conference is Hacker to Hackers. It's a super nice event. It's more than 20 years, and this is our main conference. And last year, I had the opportunity to to bring the Red Team Village for Brazil, and we had 4 members from the core team, and it was a very nice experience to bring a few space of the DEF CON from Brazilian community. So that was the purpose of that, because I don't know how this works here in US, but I think it's kind of similar, because to be part of the Hacker Summer Camp is expensive. If it's expensive in US, imagine in Brazil, because of the currency is 6 times less than when you compare to dollar. Like in Brazil, we use real, is our currency, so it's a very, very expensive for the people travel to the Hacker Summer Camp. I mean the DEF CON event, and based on that, maybe no one could have the opportunity to see more about how the DEF CON is, how is the conference, to meet those peoples. And based on that, I had the idea to bring a part of the DEF CON, like the Red Team Village. I know that's DEF CON, it's bigger than only Red Team Village, but is a Red Team Village for me is a part of DEF CON, important part of the DEF CON. So I could opportunity to bring this part to my country. It was very, very nice opportunity.
Yeah.
And this year probably we will have the same experience. So now I'm a part of the Red Team Village, the core team. So we are organizing the DEF CON right now, but after the DEF CON we organize the participation of the Red Team Village at the Hacker to Hackers in Brazil.
Yeah, man, that's so cool. And like you said, it's so important to have that there as well for the folks that can't make it to the US based conferences. So I would love to get down there. So, but yeah, I mean, we had a chance to talk briefly in Florida. I got to know you a little bit there, but for the folks that are listening to this that don't know you and your background, can you talk to me a little bit about that and, how you got into the industry?
I love this question because my career is quite different, because I'm not the technical guy. I'm not graduated in the security stuffs or hacking stuffs. I was graduated in process management. It's a kind of commercial things. My background is completely different because I was a salesperson when I started my career. I worked with some events, but not technical events, just for sales event, let's say. And actually in 2009, I started to work at Dell Computer in Brazil as a salesperson. I was account manager in the past. And at that time I remembered, I was expecting my career to work always in the sales field. However, I saw, the very good account executive that I can see in the results, to bring revenue to the company, is the guys are very excellent because they have a technical background, and my background is different. It's a sales background. It's not a technical. So I thought in that moment, I need to do this shift. I need to go to the technical career, learn more about technical thing, about the infrastructure, and after that I go back to the sales thing. It was in middle of the 2010 when I moved to the technical career. However, when I arrived there, I was feeling more passionate with this thing. But in 2015, actually, the cybersecurity chose me, or information security chose me. I'm not choosing this field, actually. The field chose me. That's the real history about that. So I received the opportunity to work at Trend Micro, and that's I started, understand more about how the defensive side works, how I should understand more about the threats, how the attacker, create different techniques to explore different environments. And based on this learning that I had, I start to create my defensive skill. And after that, I thought, I know that I work in a very nice company, have nice, very nice culture. However, how I can convince my possible customer or my customer that my product is really efficient. So I should think during the POC, the company should receive a kind of attack, and based on this possible attack, I can protect the company. It does not make sense, I need to, how I could create a kind of strategy to show the real value for the product. And based on that, I start to creating my offensive skills. So based on that, I start to, learning more about offensive security. And when I needed, when I needed to present this for my previous company in the past. So I presented the offensive security attack, the offensive part, and after that, exploring the environment, and after that, I showed how the customer could protect the environment. So based on that, I was starting to learn more about the offensive security stuffs, because I had the offensive security knowledge, but the offensive security I didn't have. So based on that, I started learning for myself, and just to create this kind of scenario. So when I did it, when I had to do kind of demos in my customers, I present the offensive side in the defensive side. So based on that, it's more like, okay, the product is efficient, and based on that, I will start to learning more about offensive security. 2019, before the pandemic, I moved into Poland to work as a penetration tester. So that time, I started working offensive security.
Nice. Where did you really learn to hone in on those skills? Were you just self-taught? Was there any specific classes that you took to learn this, or was it just, purely driven by your passion to learn?
Yeah, exactly. That's based on my passion,
Got
because
it.
I know I had very nice, let's say, guys that give me some guidance in the Brazilian. Let's say, for example, Fernando Mercedes. It's a very known guy, Brazilian guy. He's a specialist in malware. He has a very nice Brazilian community called Mente Binária. There are a bunch of information about the the defensive security and offensive security. And I heard not only from him, but the other guys in Brazilian community, that I should learn more about those bases when you talk about the cyber. When I talk about bases, is okay, I need to understand about about network, about system operations, about the how the application works, how is the flow of the application. So based on this knowledge, I needed to know about the base of the infrastructure. I needed to know about the virtualization stuffs and cloud stuffs, Kubernetes stuffs. So when I know about those bases, I can put in the, let's say, the hacker mindset, the offensive security, the malicious mindset, So based on that, I start to study a lot about how those bases, because I didn't have those bases. That's because of my previous, the graduation. I was a salesperson. So I knew that I had this kind of gap, So based on this, I need to study. And
Yeah.
I'm here, I need to keep in studying, actually.
Did you build like a home lab to do sort of hands-on? Did you practice on some of the free resources that are on the internet? Like, what was the way that you connected?
Actually, my path was okay. I had at that time the Trend Micro. I had a very nice computer, like 32 gigabits of memory and the disk. So I basically install some virtual machines. Sometimes it's VirtualBox or something from VMware. So I start to install the Kali Linux, ParrotOS, and the other platforms, and to have those experience, how I can install, how I can use in different tools, and not only this, but how I share in my talk, if you remember correctly. So I can use in tools like file command, remember, and I need to know how each tools inside of the platform, the Kali Linux, how each platform really works, what kind of information the file type will try to find inside of the file. Is about the magic number, but the file has a bunch of the database inside of the tool that you check if this database is that, and if this information is that, they can check with the file. The same example that I shared in the conference about the strings. So a string just print at least 4 characters, not 3, not 2, not 1, just 3 after at least 4 characters. So I need to understand this basis, as I shared during my talk in HackSpaceCon. So based on that, I created labs, and I try to. Usually, I like to do this. I know that's many work to do, but I like to compare different tools. Like I use it Kali Linux and I use it ParrotOS, and I just keep compare the results. And sometimes, like for example, for Recon, for example, you can use it, for example, WFuzz, or you can use, for example, GoBuster or GearBuster. So 3 different tools for the same thing to do. So it's nice to see the different results and what is exactly the answer for each different tool that you use. So basically, this is was my path. So try, and see the results.
I love that approach because you're not really focused on one platform. Like if you're taking a class on one platform, that's what you're learning. But this gives you sort of those different perspectives and what's going to be more valuable for you in what situation.
Yeah, exactly. Like for example, when I made some classes, like as a professor in Brazil, and so I always ask for my students, okay, who here got the internet access to your neighbor? Usually we have like 10 guys in the room. So okay, I got the password for my neighbor, the Wi-Fi of my neighbor. Okay, so the second question is, okay, who here, those 10 people using the kind of YouTube channel or YouTube guidance? So usually those 10 guys using the same YouTube channel, not the same, but the same idea. So the third question is, okay, who inside of those 10 guys can explain how is created the handshake when you disconnect the guy and connect again? You can explain how is created the handshake in the Wi-Fi connection, so no one's know how the handshake works and how this handshake works and how you can collect those hashes, and after that you can break the hash. So because they use this kind of platform, and I mean the demos and the YouTube channels videos, but they don't know those bases, how each things works. So that's the my big concern as an old guy in the field. So we should know about those bases. So you can use tools always, but you need to understand how each tool works and how you asked me about the how is my path, how was I learn. So I knew my gap, so I needed to study those bases. Like, okay, network, we have a TCP module, we have a OSI module. Okay, it's a kind of 7 layers. So the authentication process in each layer is a layer 4, the application, or layer 7. It depends of what kind of network we are talking. If OSI is in layer 7, but it's a TPC module is in layer 4. So that's this type of conversation when you talk about the network. So if you talk about for example, how you can open the specifically HTTPS access. So you should use a kind of like, for example, Burp Suite. You can open this kind of access, and you can see those HTTPS, and then to intercept those connections, those type of things.
Yeah. So let me ask you this then. So going back to your talk and your presentations that you give, you've hit some really major stages, like I mentioned before: Black Hat, DEF CON, HackSpaceCon. You've hit international locations as well, which is very difficult for you, but you also get to speak in front of different levels of an audience, right? You're talking to practitioners, you're talking to leadership. What would you say is one trend that you've been sort of tracking across all of these events that you think people aren't paying enough attention to?
I think it's the major is about they using different names, but if I can summarize, is about the misconfiguration of identity. Let me explain more about that. Because, for example, for the ransomware attack, so basically the ransomware just works because the user based on this machine that click in the malicious file, they have identity, and this user has an identity, and above this identity has a permission. So if someone set a wrong permissions or a wrong type of rules from this specific user, they will click on this binary and they will be infected by ransomware, for example. So if you talk about the cloud, it will be the same thing. So we can see about the different actions that you have in the cloud. For each action has a group of policies and rules and stuff like that. Many things. And when I watch those type of conference, so usually they, like for the leadership, they use a different approach, and for the technical guys, they use another approach. But in the end of the day, the word that I can summarize is misconfiguration. Because if you read something on the newspaper or on TV, is you can not see a bunch of 0 days. Like the Anacry, for example, is based on not misconfiguration. It's about some error because Microsoft had the patch, but no one's updated. So if you see the biggest attacks for the last 10 years, it's all about, okay, I cannot update my software, it's a legacy software, and so on and so forth. Of course, we have a kind of movement for the on-premise to the cloud to the microservice. And but the end of the day is, again, for each microservice to be connected, we need to have the permissions. So actually, in the past, probably you heard about the perimeter is a firewall. Remember? So we should have a very nice perimeter protected using firewall or after next generation firewall, whatever. However, let's say the perimeter is identity. And that's the thing that I'm heard. So in difference, like I was talking in the Middle East, in Black Hat Middle East, and I watched many people on stage, in the main stage, talking about the challenge about how they can implement the zero trust. Zero trust is about culture, and zero trust is about the authenticate every people. So if you authenticate every people, each people has a what? Has identity, and that's the key. So that's my takeaways, let's say, about the conference that I've been participating.
Yeah, yeah, and it's a common factor regardless of where you are, right? And these technologies are still evolving. So I know you're talking nonstop, different places, but what's your way to keep your axe sharpened? How do you stay current? What keeps your passion alive, and how are you continuing to learn all of these new technologies while still be able to, speak to different groups consistently?
Actually, the thing that I'm doing is, of course, participating in conference, and sometimes I'm trying to, spend a few times to talk about other guys, like in the field, to understand about those researchers and how they are doing different research. And sometimes I need to produce some content for let's say, the C-level, and usually I'm trying to figure how is the expectation of the market for the next 5 years front of, like how they are looking to this, and not only this, but for the main brands, let's say, about the threads. I'm talking just because I love about threads, like Tremichael, CrowdStrike. I like to read some reports or even Netscope. So how they are investigating threads. And for example, Tremichael has a specifically team they are involved with the futures threads. So that's one way that you can study how the futures is going to us, against us, let's say, against the company. And that's one way that I'm trying to keep updated. And of course, when I participate in different conference, I like to see how the different companies are creating different products and trying to bring some new idea, new technology. Because as you said, I like to talk, and I like to talk, and I like to talk with the other people and to hear about how they are creating stuffs.
And I think that forces you to stay current, right? I know when I'm giving a talk, just continuing to review that forces me to go deeper in my research, because again, this is evolving daily, right? So the talk that I gave 4 months ago is not going to be the talk that I give tomorrow. So I think it keeps you constantly current with threats. And speaking of threats, what is top of mind for you that you think is something that cyber attackers are still able to pull off today that defenders just aren't able to catch? What is like the number one threat out there for you today?
It's a tough question, actually, because like I published yesterday one of my last article that I wrote about the PDF malicious. So maybe you think, PDF malicious? Why? But that's the scenario, like, okay, so for you as a technical guy or someone that are hearing us now about they are technical people that are thinking, okay, I should look into the binaries, executables, and that's it. However, for the attacker perspective, they know that if they send some executable for the user, we have a kind of antivirus, we have a IDR, we have firewalls and many things. However, so if you send some PDF malicious, like for some reasons, so for the HR team or the people team or even the financial team, this is the use case. So every day they will open PDFs. That's the key. Like it's not the user problem. It's day by day of this user, you know what I mean. So
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
needed like the talent acquisition team in the company. So what is the activities, what is the rule? They need to open the CVs. That's the key. So if I am attacker, so I know this, so I just need to create the best PDF and I just need to send as an entry point. So because your question is about what kind of threat. So actually, the attack vector, it can be different. So you can use in more than one. But if you see the biggest attack is totally involved with a specifically third party or even a contractor, or in actually the vector of the attack can be different.
Yeah. It's
However,
still trusting external entities.
exactly, and the logical of the attacker is based on one simple thing. If you're watching now, if you have a company, you have a formal employee, hiring by W2 or wherever, but you have a third party. Third party is a consulting company. However, for the business logical, sometimes the company hiring some people as a contractor. And when you hire some people as a contractor, you give to these users the high access, the privilege, because the contractor way is just for the taxes thing, you know what I mean. So it's not only US, but in Brazil it works the same case. When I live in Portugal is the same case. When I lived in Poland is the same case. So when you hire some people as a contractor, it's because the company wants to pay less, tax than they should pay for the employee. But on the other hand, when they hire these people as a contractor, they give the full, employee access, and that's the key. So, and you can imagine, for example, let's suppose that I have a company in US, but I need to hire in a specific developer or even a security guy, and I can hire in the guy in Brazil. So this guy will be based on Brazil, and if I have any company here in US, the guy will be in Brazil. So this guy in Brazil will have the full access in my environment. Okay, so for the attacker perspective, so your question is about the main threats. Actually, I need to explore this guy. This guy has an access here, but he's a contractor. However, the permission that they have is the same as the employee. It's just again, taxi way that you can hiring people, and that I know that's how this works because for the executive, let's say, they need to they try to pay less, tax. That's the key. So in the end of the day, Chris, it's not about what is the most common threat. Actually, the question that you should do is what is the common weakness that we have in our company? Like, for example, the legacy system. So, man, when I started in cybersecurity in 2015, 2015, 10 years ago, 10 years ago than this presentation, than this conversation, 10 years ago. At that time, the old thing was about legacy. And 10 years after, we keeping talking about the legacy. 10 years.
Yeah.
You can imagine now we have an AI, but we keep have a legacy system in our environments. And not only this, but this legacy apps, applications, whatever, there are, bunch of the high privilege.
Yeah. So do you think the threat could be a company's own infrastructure and being able to just secure those legacy systems, or just still having legacy systems? Because I know a lot of times, especially in healthcare, it's really difficult to remove those legacy systems. So it may just be, not knowing how to secure it. But I think you're right. I think the threat is, I guess, overlooking those aspects within your own environment.
Yeah, that's when I started in cybersecurity, I heard, okay, we should have a security in layers. And I thought, okay, so 10 years after, my answer is we should keep and have layers of protection, because if the attacker when you have an application, web application, for example, your application needs to be, for some reasons, maybe, depends of your business, of course, but you need to open to the internet. But usually this application has a specifically service account or the www data user access. So we should have just this kind of level. However, there are kind of administrator access inside of this application. So for the attacker perspective, if they explore the vulnerability in this application, they go inside of this www user data. And after that, they will try to escalate privilege to go inside of this machine. And after that, to try to move laterally. And after that, to maybe using the pivoting technique to go to inside to another network. And this is the step used by the attacker. And if you think about the legacy software, we need to understand how we can maybe try again to isolate those type of legacy things and create layers of the difficult. In the end of the day, we need to bring more difficult for the attackers, because if you do some kind of crawler on the internet, I mean not on the internet, but GitHub or GitLab, you will find many credentials there, like AWS keys, secrets, OCI, service account. Felipe, it's not a problem, because those credentials is for the stage environment or for the developer environment. And when you try to use the same keys in the productions, it works. So
It works. Yeah.
That's the it works. That's the answer. It works.
Where do you think red teaming in general is going?
Man. Oh man, this is not good. It depends of country you live. Yeah. It's always the same. Like, okay, I'm supposing, okay, just supposing. Okay, I'm the offensive guy and I know how, Burp Suite works, how the, like WFuzz works, Deerbuster, and I have an experience in offensive security. Then I decide to open my company and I decided to offering the red team service. And then after, in the end of the day, you keep using the same tools, and it's not red team operation. The FTO is a different, like, I heard one of my friend of mine, the Oliveira, is a Brazilian. This is by the way, my co-founder in the red team community in Brazil that we founded a few months ago. So he said in a specific phrase, they have a talk by the way about that. Don't simulate the threat, be the threat. You know the difference. So when you try to simulate the threat, you're using probably the Burp Suite or WFuzz, Deerbuster.
Scripted too.
Scripted, exactly. Yeah. When you become the threat is different. So you simulate or you do the real attack, like when you do the physical red team. So we go physically in the company, how you can go inside, you have the security guard, how you can, go inside the company and collect those type of credentials physically, and real, not only simulate, but being the threat. That's the key. So I think there are a bunch of mistakes happen in the role about the red team. Like, as I said, so some people, make this confusion. Okay, I'm this offensive security guy. I have a very nice works on CTFs, and I can do the red team, but no, it's just doing pen testing, man.
Yeah.
Forget about, like you're just running tools, or sometimes you buy like Qualys tools, or like some Nessus or something like this, collecting the reports and present to the customer. It's not red team. It's just a vulnerability scanning. So that's, I think, the big mistakes.
Big misconception.
Misconception, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. If someone were to come to you tomorrow and wanted to learn red teaming, what would be the proper way to guide them? How would you guide them?
First of all, I need to understand what kind of base this person has, for example.
Okay.
And after that, I could, suggest many things. But one of the things that I would suggest to learn is, of course, understand those bases about, how I said, about the applications, about the, because again, red team is a team, not the only person. That's the key, because you need to have this training, like, for example, one guy specifically in the web application, another guy maybe in the API, another guy is in mobile, another guy in hardening, another guy, for example, in physical penetration of the physical attack, and those type of things. So am I asking for this person in tomorrow is, what is your passion about the offensive security? Because first they need to understand about the offensive security, and after that, how they can, create this structure about, okay, how is works the queue chain, how is the attacker works. Okay, so we have the first phase in reconnaissance, and after that creating the entry point. And based on that, I was suggesting some steps. One of the things that I like to suggest you, for example, for the web application, is the Burp Academy, the Burp Suite Academy. So there are a bunch of courses there and labs in a practical way, and it's a free of charge. You cannot need to pay anything for that. And this is one of my recommendations. The second recommendation is to using the Hack in the Box or even try HackMe to organize those type of things, to learn more about in practical way, because it's a practice, but important, if you do the Burp Academy, you have kind of basis there, like the main vulnerabilities that you can find in web application. But again, this is just one part. Like, I'm talking about the web. So the Red Team is completely, and of course, be involved with the community, like the Red Team Village, in the events, and trying to see what is the main guys in the field about the Red Team. On the other hand, it's interesting because, okay, let's talk about one of the very known guy in the field about in NahamSec, for example.
Yes,
the NahamSec is a bug hunter, okay, but it's a focus on finding vulnerabilities. And I don't know if is the guy correct for learning about the Red Team, but for finding vulnerabilities, this is the guy. Definitely. We need to learn many things with this guy, definitely. And of course, if you would like to have this journey, you need to learn about NahamSec, definitely.
Yeah.
And after that, you learn, and because it's, again, Chris, it's a journey. Like, okay, tomorrow I will give some guidance, but the guy really can work with Red Team maybe in the next 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
That's the key.
I don't think it gets any realer than being in the community. And that's the reason that I asked you that. It was because I think you spent, a long time in your career, not just doing technical work, but also injecting yourself into the community, teaching the community, advocating for what you do, and building community too. So what do you think is sort of the biggest shortfall now between how security and red teaming is taught and how it's actually practiced in the field? Is it the practicality that somehow doesn't get connected to the person, or how do we start ensuring that gap is closed to rectify those blind spots?
Yeah, I think it's the main problem that I am seeing in our community. When I talk about our community, is about the security community. Okay, not about Brazilian or US or whatever.
Right.
I think it's the same gap or the same concern from my side is about the word journey. And let me explain about the journey, because when the guy starts in this field, the person start in the field, they want to learn very fast and they want to have the results very fast. When I mean very fast is, okay, let's suppose I would like to work as a bug hunter, like an NahamSec, for example. So they want to go to the for example, background program or the HackerOne program, and they want to figure or finding vulnerabilities receiving $10,000. Come on, man! You're starting today in the thing, so you can find, but you need to. It's a journey. Like, okay, let me start in an offensive security field or in defensive security, for example. And usually, this kind of problem is more for the offensive security, not defensive. Actually, for both. Let me fix this for both, because okay, the people start in the offensive security, and they start as a junior guy or just a security analyst, and maybe they working very nice, good, and they have very nice results, and then 6 months after they receive an offer to be a plano guy, like, for example, not more junior but the second level, and 6 months after they jump for another level, they receive another offer receiving more $2,000, for example, to be a senior, and they become a senior 1 year. Come on, man, this is not possible. To be a senior guy in our field in 1 year, just if you go to specifically in your room and working, studying 24 hours, but it's impossible. Like, it's a journey. For example, the people are asking me in the few 2 days or the people always ask me, okay, Felipe, how you get this be on the UR, like on the stage talking black hat in US and Middle East? And my always answer is, well, I started 10 years ago, not yesterday. I started 10 years ago, man, to build this. It's 10 years. No one, like I have 4 kids and I have a twins. When I started this career, the twins were born. So now they are 10 years. So it's a journey. That's the key. I think when you talk about security, offensive security, it's about journey. Like many companies and people would like to work as a red teamers, but they are working as a pen testers. Like they didn't find the very nice company working or giving a very nice red team operation works, and that's the kind of confusion. And or sometimes they receive an offer to work in a specific company, and this company is more like just a penetration testing side, for example. They are just working for finding vulnerabilities in the product. It's good thing. I'm not talking it's bad. It's good. But like the question that
you don't get that exposure, right? You don't get that exposure. You need that experience to be able to understand the dynamics of the industry.
Yeah, and sometimes you are doing a good job. Like you start in a small company, and after that you receive just an example, okay? Please, an example, okay? You are receiving an offer to work in AWS, for example, on Amazon, and you working a part of the offensive security in the Amazon. You do a kind of finding vulnerabilities on the Amazon, like. Okay, maybe you're not doing the red team operation on Amazon because it's not part of your rule, and that's the key. But if this job is your passion, you keep in doing this, good. If not your passion, maybe you need to find your passion in the field.
Yeah,
that's the key.
Yeah. That's what I enjoy about being a consultant, is because of the pace of, learning different industries, learning different issues. And some people don't enjoy that, and that's okay. But I think having that mindset has helped me grow as a consultant, being able to see how, what works, what doesn't work, and speak to those different things. So I agree with you that it is a journey for sure.
Yeah.
And a journey that doesn't end, and it's a journey that you look forward to every day.
I told you, and in our conversation in the HackSpaceCon, and okay, it's nice to do a talk. It's very nice to share the knowledgement, and usually when the people that watching you, they can have two different perspective from you. Let's say, one is okay. This speaker is a fucking speaker. I don't know if you can use fucking, but anyway.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
I expected you to use it more.
You you remember my talk?
I loved it, man.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe you look at the guy on stage and okay, this guy is a fucking guy, know very nice things about the cloud, about the hacking, about system operation, and they go home after this watching this talk, and he can share with another friends. I watched yesterday a very nice talk, and the guy is super incredible, cool. On the other hand, and that's my expectation, is when you're watching this guy and on stage you watch the guy, okay, how I can use this in my job, and if I learn something I need to put in practical in my job. So that's the way that I'm like to work, and when I talk I like to have something to the attendance to use in practical in their jobs, because in the end of the day, if I be on stage, I'm just be the speaker, whatever, it's nice for the ego, but in the end of the day, this is kind of ego or comp or something is just for the kids that I have, my wife, and that's it. But if you can use it in a practical way, okay, I'm go back to my job and I will fix my misconfigurations in the cloud. Okay, I will do kind of adjustments or settings in my ADR or in my environment. That's the takeaways that I want to share with my attendees when I talk. That's my main job, and like. Sometimes I heard some guys around me that say, you need to bring more 0 day. Yes or no, it depends. So I prefer to share something more useful than something that I can share that I'm fucking guy.
Yeah. No, I love that, man. Tell me about Segura. What does Segura mean, and what is your role there?
Segura basically is Segura, it means secure, is a Portuguese language, by the way. and it means secure. So Segura is a Brazilian company, and the company born in Brazil, and is a company focused on privileged access management, or the acronym it means PAM. But they are changing the business right now. So we are creating identity solution, let's say. So that's the main core of the company. And the company is globally, is born in Brazil. That the company was born in Brazil, but it's a globally company. I'm part of the United States business unit. And not only this, but as a speaker, I'm kind of globally a speaker in representing the company. And right now, my role is being the head of Identity Threat Labs. The Identity Threat Labs basically is the lab responsible for investigate new threads, known threads, doing reverse engineering, finding vulnerabilities, and many things. That my main role in the organization at this moment.
And where can folks listening to this find out more about your company? And then also, where can they find you and connect with you online?
Yeah, definitely. So they can find me on LinkedIn. Usually it's Filipi Pires, Filipi, many eyes in the world. And Pires is the normal, like, they can find me on LinkedIn, on Twitter, or not Twitter more, but in X, as a Filipe Pires as well. And they can find me on Instagram, philippepires.sec, and sex SEC, and the company as well. They can find we have a website that I post usually the articles there is the lab.segura.blog. They can find some informations there, and of course there are my YouTube channel. I'm not podcaster, but I just putting every of my talks in the YouTube channel. It's a Felipe-Pires. You can find there my talks, basically talks that I made on besides Las Vegas, in different events that I participate. All those talks that was published, I put in there, and in Portuguese, Spanish, and English as well. They can find many of my talks there.
Do you have a list of where you're speaking next?
Jesus. Oh, yeah, I have. Actually, I was imagining you asking before. Okay, no, next I have. So I go to B-Sides 312 in Chicago, and I go to Vegas for an anniversary, and after that I go to Brazil for the Affinity event.
I'm saying you need to list it. You need to have that listed.
Okay. No. Okay. I understand your question. No. But it's a good idea, by the way. I should do something like I need to put something on my GitHub. My GitHub is Felipe86, by the way, and I have there some tools, open source tools, and some things usually I publish there.
Nice.
But I think I need to put there like my features events, because
your tour dates, man. Like you're worldwide phenomenon. No, everybody needs to see you.
No, I have a good friend like you that I will talk on Black Hat this year and on the Arsenal stage. And DEFCO as well, probably. And I'm just waiting some answers. I will talk besides Las Vegas as well again in the password track. There are password con track. Inside of besides Las Vegas, one track is called password con. I will talk there. I received the approval. So I will talk in Black Hat, besides, and I'm expecting to talk at DEFCON as well in some village.
Man. All right. Well, you travel extensively to do these talks. When you're not traveling,
I expect to receive a BarCode cap.
Yes, you will have one. I'm going straight to the mailbox after this talk. So
yeah, because I have a water box here too big.
water
box again. Yeah.
So yeah, when you're not talking, you're home. Like you said, you're busy with your family life. I'm trying to figure out when you actually have downtime, and if you get downtime, I'm just curious, where do you like to hang out, man? Like, what are some really cool venues or cool bars that you either go to regularly or during your travels? Give me like a cool bar that you've been to.
Oh, man, actually, this is things that I don't have any idea, because when I travel, I like to talk to the people.
You have no time.
No, I have a time. Of course I have a time. But usually when I travel, as you saw in the event, I like to talk to people no matter what bar that we have. They just talk. And but usually when I travel, I like to go to the Fogo de Chão steakhouse, Brazilian steakhouse. And no matter the country that I have, I try to figure any Brazilian steakhouse because I was born in south of Brazil. Just to explain for the attendees or the people that are watching now and or hearing us, is I love steakhouse in my country, in my states. Rio Grande do Sul is the last city in Brazil. So our main meat is a barbecue. So the ribs, picanha, and usually when I travel, I like to go to those type of things. And usually when I am home, for example, trying to rest. I but actually in the weekend I not only the weekend but during the week or the weekend I'm a Christian guy. I'm participating at the church. I'm play drum, guitar, keyboard, bass,
Nice.
sing, whatever thing. I'm church boy, let's say, since the
Yeah.
beginning. Yeah.
All right, so I just heard last call here. Do you have time for one more?
Yeah, or maybe two or three. Man, I talk a lot, you know that.
No, you're good. I only have one more, though. I only have one
Okay.
more. All right, so if you decided to open a cybersecurity themed bar, what would the name be, and what would your signature drink be called?
Yeah, you know that's interesting. You should go, definitely should go to the Hacker to Hackers in Brazil because there are specifically bar in Brazil called Cyber
Cyber.
Beer, yeah. And we went there with the Red Team Village with the Red Team guys there, and there are a bunch of beers with the cyber names like Exploit IPA and whatever. And it's a very nice bar. You should go there in December
Nice.
if you go to the Hacker to Hackers. And but I think my beer can be. Ah man, I love malware things. Maybe malware beer or something like this. I'm a normal guy, like because I
Yeah.
love PDF malicious beer. I don't know. I'm not creative in this way, but if I have a kind of name for beer or
So
like
it's the only malware that you intentionally let
drink.
enter your environment or
Oh,
drink.
yeah, I know. That's
It's
yeah, intentionally. I think yeah, definitely yeah.
it'll be that good
Oh, maybe
that you know it's bad.
yeah, we can
You
call
know
it
it's bad.
Mauer beet because in Brazil there are a specific drink called this skull beets. We can call Mauer beets, just
Okay.
a kind of reference.
Okay. I like that. I
Mauer
like that.
beets, and it's a
Mauer
blue
beets.
color, like it's a very
Ooh.
nice.
Ooh, I like it. Okay. Sounds dangerous, but I'm in.
It depends who drink.
Just don't put condensed milk in it.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
You
No, no,
would?
no, no,
Okay,
no.
okay. Man, condensed milk goes in every drink in Brazil.
Yeah.
I remember going to a bar there and there was like a row of condensed milk and then you had all your liquor. It's crazy. Favorite dessert? Favorite dessert in Brazil?
That's a bad question because usually I prefer like the dark chocolate in Brazil is not too common. More you can find, dark chocolate in the other countries like US, but in Brazil is everything is sweet. And
Yeah.
I think I like mousse, chocolate mousse,
Okay.
and it's a very nice. And
You like
when you go to
flan?
Brazil, yeah, like it,
Yeah.
but I like
That
if I
seems to
have
be a
a
popular
yeah, I
dessert
think
there.
pudding. Did you try pudding in Brazil? Pudding. It's a
I think
similar to
so.
flan. It's a similar to flan, but it's much better. Yeah.
Felipe, thank you so much for stopping by. Really appreciate it. I hope to see you at Hacker Summer Camp coming up soon. And I'll definitely stop by and we'll have a malware beats beverage together.
Definitely. Thank you, Chris, again for having me here for this invitation. I think that's when you asked me about to be here, so I said to you, and just for me, just a conversation. If you have a question, you don't need to send me. Just open your mouth, and that's the magic happened.
The magic happened.
And that's it. Like again, thank you so much. So if the people would like to, reach me, so we have my contacts on LinkedIn or whatever social media you want. The people can send me a message if they have any question, I'm here. And again, thank you so much for this space. And I hope to see you soon in person, man.
Definitely. Thanks, man. You take care.
Take care. See you.